the first to know. Nsem-Pii TV.
Lawyer Paul Admochiri Atamasi, Netiefo, Asamse Agito say, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Asia the clergy, na Emra or ne the priest, the Roman Catholic, Asia Precopeno. And I want to question man say LGBTQ plus amongst them. Na a ho and no baby children say, Sa bill no, say no, na ye kaima fast forward some George I'm making that comment say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and then Kennedy Akunyaswa and Camera bill ne ba prekopeno and Cobesan say on no netiso na bill no so aye ready dia ene a day in this kind ensunie a day ne suma subo kwan na eno na His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ohwedin na satie for so ti nsem na okana you turn abam na okano o say omo champion that bill meanwhile when him say honorable son George on the leader and the gang leader any other group that private member bill no eco parliament now His Excellency John Dramani Mahama say dear druni dear this a consultation bill I think all kasa no the bill say na say enka school kura no ye kire man ke ho hia say e be sign bill etiefo e say di anyaje ta na minim say enje kura Sam George and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and your ombeji say ta mewa Sam George is ye ba be appointed as minister na one His Excellency John Dramani Mahama asem kesi ya bisi enyo no go haruna idrusu so one of them omo champion ye the case ni ye case bobo ha enye asem ketwa na we ena Kofi Buachi Kofi Buachi so nsem eba ye ka Kofi Buachi a police panyini pa a ko retirement retire Kofi Buachi ne nsem dampare ene yewura Paul Admochiri say Kofi Buachi bura o she dampare no ama yewura a ye friend said Reverend Prophet Osubempa ono na ye commentator na ono na ehihye ekiri na edie na ABC BB ABC yanko ningotie ensema lawyer Paul Admochiri etenase odotu dwanbi emrasisia.
And it's assumed that that's what they went to do, to wish him well. I think they spoke about other things, but the LGBT matter became critical. So where is the LGBT matter? I had an argument with somebody on the phone yesterday about whether the bill has died or not. Now, the rule is that when a bill goes to Parliament and it is not successfully passed, that bill dies with the Parliament. Two Supreme Court rulings, J.H. Mensah, the Attorney General, and the recent Richard Sky matter, both emphasize the position of things happening in a particular parliament. The parliament expires. It expires with everything that was happening. So the argument was this: has the LGBT bill that was passed by Parliament waiting to receive presidential assent from President Akufo-Addo, is it a dead bill? Has the bill died such that it must start all over again? When they say a bill is dead, what the MPs mean is that the bill must start all over again. What is all over again? All over again is that write out the bill again, come back to Parliament with it, read it for the first time. Parliament will take notice of it, send it to its committee. It will be read. The committee will deal with it, make some changes. It will be read for the second time before the whole Parliament. The changes will be announced to the Parliament. The Parliament will debate the changes. The whole Parliament will debate the changes. And then it will be read a third time. After it's read a third time, the Speaker will put the question. And so they pass it or it fails. If it passes, it goes for presidential assent. Now, if a bill is at the second stage, maybe it's before the committee, they are looking at it, and then the life of the Parliament ends, as the 8th Parliament ended on 6th January, that bill and everything Parliament is doing also collapses. So that's the background. Now, let's get to the details. Okay, so recorder, this is where you record me from. The first one is just the background. Now, let's get to the details. So, in meeting the clergy this morning, President John Dramani Mahama did not quite say where his position is on the LGBT matter. He appeared to suggest that the way things are, the bill must start again. he said that he was not sure what the promoters of the bill wants to do. The promoter of the bill is Sam George. We know that already. Sam George is the promoter of the bill. He's a principal promoter of the bill, but suffice it to say that this was a bill that was passed by all of Parliament. Suffice it to say. But Sam George is the principal promoter in the bill. You've seen the video that we showed. Sam George had said before that President Akufo-Addo must sign the bill. And then he said also that if it was President John Dramani Mahama, he would sign the bill. He also said further that if President John Dramani Mahama gets the opportunity and does not sign the bill, he would have his Sam George to deal with. First, let's hear President John Dramani Mahama speaking to the clergy this morning about the status quo, the state of affairs of the LGBT bill, the family values, however we call it. I call it the Moses Fuamweni bill. Some people call it the Sam George bill, but we know what we are talking about. So this is what President Mahama said about it today.
The proper human sexuality, and it's quite a long name, proper family values bill. If you remember, there was a court case that injuncted the speaker from forwarding it to the president, and also restrained the president from receiving the bill. Eventually that case was disposed of in December, I think on the 18th or so. Yeah, so it meant that the injunction had been cleared. But as far as I know, the bill did not get to the president for assent. And so the convention is that all bills that are not assented to before the expiration of the life of Parliament expire. And so that bill effectively is dead, it has expired. I don't know what the promoters of the bill intend to do, but I do think that we should have a conversation on it again, so that all of us, if we decide to move that bill forward, move it forward with a consensus. And probably it shouldn't be a private member's bill, it probably should be a government bill with governments behind it after consultation with all the stakeholders to see how we're able to move this forward. But it leads us back to the discussion we had, that if we're teaching our values in school, we won't need to pass a bill to enforce, our family values. And that's why I think more than even the family values bill is us agreeing on a curriculum that inculcates these values into our children as they're growing up, so that we don't need to legislate it. And so we'll see how all this goes. And so I'm looking forward to this review conference, so that we can come to some consensus on some of these issues. But I wish to thank you very much for the thoughts that you have expressed.
To the clergy earlier today. So we went back into the archives and then played the Sam George video, which is old, juxtapose it against what President Mahama said. And we're going to leave you to send us the text messages to tell us what you think. They'll sign it. At some point, he didn't want the service of the bill to be given to him. The Supreme Court has something to say about it. Eventually, they said President Akufo-Addo can't sign it, but the exigencies of the time from 3rd January to 7th January, his people said that he was unable to find time to do it. Many people were expecting that the document is in front of President Mahama, he's going to sign it. But here, we're hearing that the bill has failed. It has to start again. That's the first time we're hearing that President Mahama is telling the clergy that the LGBT bill has failed. That's the view of some lawyers, though, that once the bill travels and it didn't get the accent of the president, it fails, and that it has to start all over again. Good evening, Mr. President. So here's Sam George on what he said much earlier, a year or so ago, referencing how he would relate to President Mahama's conduct if that conduct suggests that the bill will not be passed. This is Sam George.
Lastly, on the LGBT issues, if you get a nod, how far would you hope to push it? The president, your candidate, when he was interviewed on the BBC, he said he would now look into what is in that bill.
That's a misconception that's been put out, and I listened to that full BBC interview. President Mahama has been clear that he will sign that bill, and he has no option than to sign that bill. President Mahama will know no peace from Sam George until he signs that bill. And he himself has said that to the clergy, that as a Christian, as a member of the Assemblies of God Church, he will sign that bill. What the president said to the BBC was in response to why President Akufo-Addo has not signed the bill. And he said to them, look, what President Akufo-Addo should have done, instead of rejecting service of the bill was to have received the bill, stated what his displeasure is with the bill, which is what the Constitution says. The Constitution in Article 1067, President Mahama, in his response to the BBC, was referring to the Constitution of Ghana. Article 1067 says that when he gets to the president, he must within 14 days indicate whether he would sign or not sign. If he chooses not to sign, he then has to bring it back to Parliament and then state in the memo to Parliament the reasons why he's refusing to sign and add the recommendations to remedy those challenges he sees. Otherwise, within the 14 days, he can refer it within 30 days. He can refer it to the Council of State, who have 30 days to give him advice. That's what President Mahama was saying in that BBC interview. He was not saying that he now has to read the bill. President Mahama has read the bill. It's because he's read the bill that he told the clergy that when he becomes president, he will sign the bill, because President Mahama has no problem with anything in the bill. That explanation he was given was basically what the president should have done as a lawyer in line with our constitution, because the president's decision not to have service of the bill on him is unconstitutional and shows you how reckless and irresponsible Akufo-Addo is as a president.
Way back. Now, Idrisu Haruna, the former leader of the NDC in Parliament, also has something to say about it. Now, his is a bit more current. He's speaking recently since President Mahama became president. Now, his view of the matter, according to what he says, suggests that he was thinking that the bill hasn't failed, that the bill is before the president and a new president can sign. President Mahama says the bill has failed. Lawyer Bafo is coming to join us in the studio very soon. We'll be asking as it is. Have a look at the video.
I have some ideas on LGBTQ, but I'm yet to share it with the president as to how he can re-own the bill and get national consensus around it and consistent with the laws of Ghana and the constitution. There is a way to deal with it, but to make a comment here would mean that I'm reducing it to a religious matter, but it's certainly a social cultural problem for our country that collectively will resolve to preserve our values as a people. So thank you very much. I have some ideas.
What presents one such example? Let's look at it. It's Accra, January. Okay, I'll just read it from here. It's Accra. It's January 31. Reuters, Ghana. It says, Ghana's president, John Mahama, is seen on arrival at the Gambia in Banjul. Okay, 31. Ghana's former president and leading opposition candidate, leading opposition presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama, on Wednesday expressed his opposition to LGBTQ plus rights, but did not say if he will support a bill aimed at criminalizing same-sex marriage. Let me read that again, viewers. Ghana's former president, and this was before he won the election on December 7th. Ghana's former president and leading opposition presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama, on Wednesday expressed his opposition to the LGBTQ plus rights, but did not say if he would support a bill aimed at criminalizing same-sex marriage. The main opposition party, the National Democratic Congress, voted last year to retain Mahama as his leader for the 2024 presidential election. During a meeting with the members of the clergy in the Eastern Ghana, the former president said gay marriage and being transgender were against his Christian beliefs. So, President Mahama and President Akufo-Addo seem to share the same views on the LGBT. It looks like it's the same. President Akufo-Addo says, yes, I don't support same-sex marriage. I'm a Christian. But ban the activity, ban the advocacy. He wasn't too sure whether the advocacy should be banned. And many lawyers are wondering, how do you ban advocacy when the Constitution keeps human rights, human associations, advocacy, expressions as a fundamental right of individual Ghanaians? President Mahama seems to say the same thing. Whilst he says against his Christian religion, he is not quite saying whether he will ban anything. President Akufo-Addo here appears to have the same position. But if you backtrack this to 2023, you will get the sense that President Mahama is for the LGBT bill, President Akufo-Addo is against the LGBT bill. Now, here reality falls upon us. And President Mahama has never said that he's for the bill. So what he said this morning is really consistent with what he has been saying. The issue now is pressure is mounting on him from some judge who he didn't mention. He said the promoters of the bill, but President Mahama knows who the promoters of the bill are. He knows that the promoters of the bill are some of his principal actors. The key actors in the National Democratic Congress are the promoters of the bill. All of us who support the bill know who is the promoter of the bill. It's some judge. He didn't mention him in his conversation. It means something in political communication. For those who have not done political communication, but it does. Those who did it tell us that when somebody says something in political communication and omits to mention names, it means something. If he goes ahead to mention names, also means something. President Mahama said the promoters of the bill. The promoters of the bill are Sam George, Drisu Haruna. These are principal actors of the NDC. Sam George is almost certainly going to be a minister on President Mahama's list. He is the promoter of the bill. So you have to tell me what you make of it. But as the politics are coming home to roost, we'll get a lot more information from now, February, March. Everybody's going to be talking again. And then we'll see what they said before and what they are saying now. So you tell me what you think. I wanted to show the red corner. And Dr. Dampare is taking punches from Kofi Boakye. The boxing match commentator is Reverend Usu Bempa, who is very excited with what is happening. What are we hearing? What are we hearing? What are we hearing? Now, Dr. Dampare here has been IGP for 2 years. A very, very eventful one. A very, very, very public one. A very, very expressive one. On Inauguration Day, Dr. Dampare got down from his car and was directing traffic. The chief constable, the senior-most police officer, the inspector general of police, on Inauguration Day on 7th January, he got down from his car and he was directing traffic at the Independence Square. I don't know what you make of it. The IGP, the solid IGP, the head of police. The police had several drills before Inauguration Day. The Ghana police are so professional. They know what to do. They've been doing inauguration since 92. They must have had several drills on Inauguration Day on which car is coming where, how it's going to park, where it's turning, what is happening. But the IGP still found reason to be in the public eye as doing a job which he must have planned and executed perfectly without anybody even knowing that he was part of it. The IGP can arrive at the inauguration and he can only speak to the police people. He can speak to them by signal. That's preparation. When he does this to them, they know what he means. When he does this, they know what he means. When he does this, they know what he means. When he calls them and does this, they know what it means. That's a professional IGP who has trained his people. They come for inauguration. About 20 African heads of state were there. They knew who was coming. They have drilled out the job. But you found the IGP trying so very hard to share the platform with President Mahama. On President Mahama's big day, Inspector General of Police Dampare had to show that he is around. Nobody wanted to share the platform with President and Mrs. Lordina Mahama. Only Dampare felt that he has to be in the picture some. It is Inauguration Day of John Dramani Mahama. Why must Dr. Dampare put himself in the picture? So he comes, stands there, is directing. He knows that as soon as he starts directing police, cameras will pick him up. Dampare is very aware that once he starts directing people, cameras will pick him up. And so he goes there, he's directing the car, He was sharing the video, the platform with President Mahama. Apparently, President Mahama is going to make a decision for all the people he met. Was it this morning? Yesterday morning, he met the security chiefs. They were all there. Dampare was there. So President Mahama met with them and was preparing for the Boku trip. So he's going to make some changes. The chief of defense staff may go. The army commander may be changed. The air force commander may be changed. The navy commander may be changed. Inspector general of police may be changed. So who is Akufo Mahama going to talk to about making these changes? You don't have to think too far. When it comes to IGP, COP Kofi Boakye would have a say in it. COP Kofi Boakye will have a say. COP Kofi Boakye is already part of the security architecture that President Mahama has announced. The one that has Prosper Bani on top to Kofi Totobi Kwachi is in there. It has COP Kofi Boakye in there. So you would imagine that on who should be the next IGP, COP Kofi Boakye will have a say. Now there's a story in there about when COP Kofi Boakye wanted to be Kofi Boakye since 2017 has always been in the reckoning for the IGP positions. When P2 got in 2017, Kofi Boakye was in the reckoning. When Opon Buenu came in, that's when Kofi Boakye was in a very strong reckoning. When Opon Buenu came in. At that time, Dampare was not in the reckoning. Kofi Boakye was. Then Kofi Boakye was in the reckoning again when Dampare's position was announced. So he's been around the IGP thing for a while, and he thoroughly knows the police. Not many people know the police like Kofi Boakye, you know. And I'm going to show you a video at the end of this of reminding you of Kofi Boakye's striking force days, you know. Kofi Boakye has been around for a while. So naturally, President Mahama is going to rely on him and other people to decide who is going to be the Chief of Defense Staff, IGP, Director of Operations, etc., etc. We understand that in those conversations, this is the picture that is being painted. Kofi Boakye COP thinks that our friend Doctor has served his term. Mr. Mahama, let him step aside. And guess who is enjoying all of this? Owusu Bempah. Owusu Bempah is thoroughly excited that President Mahama will change Dr. Dampare. When you speak to him on the phone, he'll tell you, I have not spoken to him. But those who have spoken to him tell me that that is his view. That, Dampare obefi police. Adia Dampare di yemi organa ha. Obefi police nimpe. I don't know whether Owusu Bempah has any influence on the thing, but I am sure that Kofi Boakye will have some influence on it. So this is where we end it. It's a gist, it's unfolding. So what is the gist that we are leaving out? When Opon Buenu was competing with Kofi Boakye for the IGP, did Dampare do anything about it? Did he write anything about it? I don't know. There's rumors that we are hearing. So is it payback time? Something like that? I don't know. Later tonight we're going to